Welcome to the program. Now, this is not a campaign. We are only here to thank the media. Those are the words of MPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Kojo Chermatin at a press conference earlier on today. The press conference was highly anticipated by the media, as many were actually wondering what was going to be the outcome, particularly when the campaign ended officially yesterday. But was it really a campaign?
Aggressive infrastructural development program. I know that all governments talk about infrastructural development, but I'm talking about a consistent, sustained, and aggressive infrastructural development program. And in this regard, I am convinced that during an Alan's presidency, Ghana will witness the most significant level of infrastructural development since independence. And I would focus on a number of areas. First, obviously, is roads, road transport. But more importantly, rail transportation. I believe that if we go to Europe, North America, even other emerging countries, those countries are where they are primarily because of the efficient and effective rail transport, among other things that they've done well.
Alan Chermatin, President, flag bearer hopeful for the New Patriotic Party. Well, Kobra Boateng Chenchehene was our man on the beat, and he joins me in the studio. So, Kobra, what really was it? I mean, this whole press conference. I saw you ask that question. You put that question to Philip London, and really, what was the motive behind it?
Well, it was rather surprising that a press conference would be called at a time such as this, particularly when the party's guidelines were such that no one should campaign. 24 hours to the day. That means officially campaign ended on Thursday. Oh yeah, on Thursday. So today was really surprising when I was told, okay, Alan Chermatin was having a press conference, because earlier we were told that the press conference was supposed to be yesterday. But once it was cancelled yesterday, I was thinking, okay, well, probably that's it. But when we were told that today such a thing was happening, many were wondering, myself, I was wondering, so what at all could he be saying today? So we just went there. So I wanted to find out why such a thing happened.
And we heard Alan Chermatin there in that clip, making mention of the fact that when he's made flag bearer and eventually president of the Republic of Ghana, infrastructure development will be one of his key priorities. Beyond that, what else did he say that, sought to push the notion that he was actually campaigning on the eve of the election day?
I wouldn't want to say he was campaigning or not, but I'm sure viewers watched, they watched and they listened to the voice, the sound bites over there. He mentioned a number of things, particularly even in the instance of intra-party issues. For instance, he mentioned that anyone who decides to work for the party full-time ought to be given remuneration, and this is something he's been saying all through his campaign. So if you just you probably make your own deductions, well, I wouldn't have to say it, but it probably seems to suggest that maybe he was just campaigning.
Okay, now beyond whether or not he was campaigning, I mean, which are the people? Which people were there? I'm talking about some of the party faithfuls.
True. Well, there were a number of people there, and not so many people. Most of those of us who were there were from the media, but rather surprisingly, people who graced the occasion. Notable amongst them, as I said in my earlier report, was former President Kufuor's spokesperson. That's Frankie Jekum. He was there. But I spoke to him, I interacted with him, and he said he wasn't there in his capacity as a spokesperson of the former president. He was there in his own capacity. He was invited to be there. So I asked Philip London whether indeed he had invited anyone.
Okay, we can now listen to Philip London when he spoke to us earlier on.
Frankie Jekum is my personal friend, a very good friend of mine. I have very good friends in the party. Whatever, if Nanado was doing something and it involved one of my very close personal friends, I would attend. It does not suggest that Alan Chermatin is there. So please, let us respect that and let us not do unnecessary political inferences. It is not healthy for our democracy. Let us respect the views of individuals. Yes, people have positions that they hold, but they have their personal views. If there is a party function, this is a party function. This is an NPP function because it is being held by one of the aspirants of the party. Every member of the party who is linked with the media is welcome to attend.
And obviously, that's Philip London, the special aide to Alan Chermatin. But beyond this, beyond what Philip London told you, what are the other reaction that you got speaking to some of the people that showed up, even the media men that were there?
Well, for some of my colleagues I spoke to, many were like, I thought they said they shouldn't campaign anymore. You know, that was the thing that was running through that. I thought they said they shouldn't campaign anymore. So possibly many others were also thinking it was some form of campaign also. But they did insist that it wasn't a campaign. And I spoke to
and that they were only thanking the media.
They were just thanking
the
media.
Were they really thanking you?
Well,
I think that's a question. That's a question we need to put to Mike Ampon. He's the Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party. He also joins us on the phone line. Mike, thank you very much for joining us. So Alan Chermatin held a press conference. The aim was to thank the media. It happens on a day, the eve to elections. Has he violated the directives that were issued early on by the party?
Well, let me say good evening to your cherished viewers across the country. I never had the opportunity to be at a press conference. Neither were we, when I say we, I'm talking about the party, where we really, bring us to the content of the press conference. But like you already said, the party through the General Secretary and the Elections Committee had come out clearly with the rules for the primary tomorrow. And among them was that the elections were ended yesterday. So today as far as the laws are concerned, today is supposed to be seen as a rest day for all party activities.
Party activities including press conferences?
Well, as far as the rules were concerned, but like I'm saying, I am not privy to the content of the press statement that he read. And so until I know the kind
But I'm asking you, press conferences included? I mean, per the directives you issued, would it be right for any of the flag bearers to hold a press conference?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think anything that has to do with campaigning was supposed to have come to an end yesterday. So if the press conference you spoke about or was intended to further enhance his campaign, there is a violation of the election.
What are the ramifications then? I mean, will there be any action taken against Alan Chermatin? Because you mentioned there to us that if the press conference sought to, as it were, re-emphasize some of the issues he raised in his campaign, then it's a clear violation. Will there be any punitive action measures taken?
I want to ask. I just joined this was at the press conference. What are the issues he raised?
We were there. He talked about infrastructure development and it being one of his priorities when he's made President of the Republic of Ghana. He reiterated some of the issues that he has been trumpeting throughout his campaign and all that. So question is, are these clear violations and would there be any action taken against him?
Well, I think the party has structures. We have various subcommittees of the National Council. If somebody brings it up for the appropriate body, then they will look at the merits of the issue being raised and if there is a need for a sanction of the sort. So until it comes up to the appropriate body to look at the merits of the issue, I wouldn't be able to talk about the kind of sanctions that the party will put in place.
Okay, Mike, I want you to hold on the line. Let me bring in political scientist Dr. Isaac Oz. He's with the University of Ghana. Doc, thank you very much for joining us here on today's big story. So Alan Chermatin held a press conference to thank the media. What strategy is that? Is it a campaign? How would you identify it? I mean, what's your own analysis of it?
Thank you very much. I must say that I'm very sad today because I think that as a party, in terms of NPP, seeking to rule the Republic of Ghana, must themselves respect their own rules and guidelines that regulate the way the party functions, either towards elections or towards any party activity. Now here we are with a presidential candidate who wants to lead a party who is not able to respect the rules that they have set for themselves, so at the end of the day, he can lead the party, that it is very unfortunate. In election,
and you say it's an indictment on the image of the New Patriotic Party?
not only on himself and also on the entity.
Okay, I want you to hold on for me. Mike, you heard Dr. Isaac Owusu there. He says that's clearly an indictment on the image of your party. I mean, if per his own, per the way he sees what happened today.
Well, you see, for me, like you said earlier on, the press conference was targeted mainly at the media.
Yes.
Okay. Where, as far as we are concerned, the primaries.
And he took advantage
listen,
to reiterate some of the issues he's been raising on his campaign.
Hello?
Yes.
The primaries is also targeted at the delegates.
Right.
So for me, if you're looking at the fact that the press conference targeted the media to thank the media, then I don't see where it violates the code here. But that notwithstanding, like I'm saying, we have appropriate bodies, such as subcommittees of the National Council. So if somebody feels, or if anybody feels that, look, it's a violation of the party's code of conduct, then the issue must be brought up before the body.
Okay.
And they will look at the merits of the case and then determine the kind of punishment. But until then, I don't.
Okay, Mike, hold on. Doc, Mike is saying that party structures should be followed in dealing with this situation. I mean, you are scandalized by it. Would you go by that thought that the party structures should be followed and punitive action or measures taken eventually?
Yes, I think that it's a very dicey situation because, one, we all know very well that he will not win the coming elections.
How do you know?
All the analysis is very clear written on the wall. But the point of emphasis is that he also has some constituency within the party. So because of the constituency he has within the party, it must be very, the party has to deal with it carefully, else any attempt to trying to put him right will mean that his constituency will be apathetic, number one, or they will work very hard against the party towards the 2015 election. So the party will have to be very careful in dealing with it. For me, if you ask my personal opinion, I would say that the party should ignore it.
And move on. Okay, Mike.
And move on.
Mike, would that be your suggestion as well, that the party ignores this and move on, knowing very well that you came out with guidelines and
For me, I am of the opinion that if there are members of our party who feel that, look, this particular press conference is a breach of the party's rules for the election, then they should bring it up to the appropriate body to look at the merits of the case. And then, but I will agree with the doctor at the other end in the sense that, you see, when the party comes with a clear rule, we should be seen to be abiding by it. If we are seen to be as it is, not paying heed to the party's call, then of course it sends a very wrong signal. We want to run on the party's ticket, and we are not prepared to abide by the party's own rules.
And so, what are you going to do? You're going to let it go, knowing very well that it has implications as far as your image is concerned as a party.
I have said that I don't serve on the appropriate National Council subcommittee that has the mandate to look at some of these.
But what would be your suggestion?
So those who
what would be your suggestion? Because you're concerned about the image of your party.
Until we look at the merits of the issues that we raised by the IB people, we wouldn't be able to talk about its impact on our image. We wouldn't be able to say that.
But clearly, you mentioned that. You raised that issue that the image of your party is at stake. I mean, knowing very well the guidelines that you issued prior to your elections tomorrow.
For me, looking at the targeted audience of the press conference, it is different from the targeted audience of the primaries. The presidential primaries target the delegates for the election, but this particular press conference targeted the media. Okay. And like you said earlier on, it was aimed at thanking the media for their support. So, from my angle, until other issues are raised okay, which will show that indeed there's a clear violation of the party rules. I think that we need to ignore it.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much, Mike and Paul. Thanks a lot. And Doc, coming back to you, you wanted to make a point, Doc?
Yes, I want to make a point. I completely agree with my brother at the other end that he's thanking the media. He has all the time to thank the media before yesterday, and he has every time to thank the media from Sunday. So to do anything within the time that the party has set for itself, it's not just to thank the media.
But Doc, what kind of strategy would you call that? I mean, thanking the media on the eve of Elections Day.
My brother, I must say that I have studied elections from the various jurisdictions in Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, and in Africa here. I have never seen any strategy of this nature of trying to thank the media before. Probably he's inventing his own policies now that we are yet to study. I have not seen anything of this sort. The emphasis is that, and I also want to, I have discussing here with my friends, is that one, he did not go around as expected of him to campaign as all of us expect him to, that you oil the machinery of the party as the others were doing, number one. Number two, I would not want to say this is emphatic, but that's why it seems to show that he has no respect for the party rules and regulations.
And how is it likely to inure to his benefit? I mean, I'm linking this to the kind of message that he's been putting out there during his campaign, going into the elections tomorrow. How is this strategy specifically likely to inure to his benefit?
No, I don't think that. I don't think that it will rather be benefit him, but rather to destroy his image that within the constituency or the party, because it is easy for people from other sides to say, look, this is a man who does not even respect the basic good that we have set for ourselves. So therefore, he cannot lead our party. And this is the 10th round among the candidates, among the delegates.
And going into the elections tomorrow, and for now though, as this issue has come up, how do you say that the party hierarchy should handle this matter? You already stated that they should let matters go, but then again, the point is their image is at stake. You've just mentioned that particular point as well.
Yeah, I said that as we run towards the 2016 election, the party should not do anything that will antagonize itself within the party among various constituencies within the party. They should just ignore it and move forward. But I think that moving forward within the party itself, they must also come out with rules and regulations to extent that they can even make it so difficult that is to say that if anybody breaches any of these, he or she can be disqualified from future elections. So that when it will serve as a deterrent to others, that I think that it is very, very fragile, which is that if the party attempts, especially the leadership attempts to do anything to him, his constituency will go off the party, and I think that it will destroy the party.
Thank you.
Party should
very well. Thank you very much, Dr. Isaac Osu. He's a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. David Agbe is executive director of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. He also joins us on the phone line. So, David, throughout your studies, as far as political history in Ghana is concerned, it doesn't come as a surprise to you to see a flag bearer hopeful thank the media on the eve of elections.
Prince, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think that I'm not surprised about what happened today with regards to the press conference organized by Alan Tremantin. You realize clearly that the two main contenders, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Alan Tremantin, is fiercely contesting the election to actually, get a route within as far as the presidential, this thing is concerned. Yesterday, Alan Tremantin was absent in Accra, and so Nana Addo Dankwa organized a mammoth, rally over there. And Alan Tremantin equally also did something in Kumasi. That if we looked at the crowd that we saw, you realize clearly that Nana Addo's own was quite, phenomenal as compared to
So David, in effect, what strategy was that?
Alan Tremantin wants to do something again just to send out a message there that he is still in the race. And that is what I deduce from his press statement to also make a comment that he's a very strong candidate and he can win more of floating voters and more of women. And so it tells me clearly that he's just trying to tell the party faithful that he has a certain appealing presidential ability, or he has a certain appealing personality
but David,
against Nana.
But David, what about those who say that this is a clear violation of the party guidelines and that some measures or some action should be taken against him? Would you go with those who say that?
I do not think that anything could be done that will be quite detrimental, or that will cease to suggest that they are punishing Alan. And then all the presidential candidates, with the exception of Adenimo, who has never breached all the party regulations and its procedure. When you looked at Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he has equally breached the party constitution. Many people have, come out to say that they are supporting Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We thought that Nana Addo could have said that no, this internal process. So let all unite and do a certain decent campaign. He has not done. So equally, Alan Chemantin also wants to breach the party constitution, which tells me that all of them, they are not more united within, and so it will be very difficult for them to come out to a certain level of conclusion to show a very strong force, out of these elections which will take place tomorrow. So you realize that everybody is equally fighting for its utmost interest within the party. So we are seeing certain scenarios which are going to display or which are going to show its ugly head, within the party tomorrow. Don't forget that tomorrow they are holding the election within 275 constituencies. It tells you clearly that something could, happen within all these, 275, constituencies. In fact, if it was just organized one, just at a certain area, it could be more distant rather than the way they are going to do it as we speak. So, for us, as political watchers, we are seeing certain things which will emanate tomorrow as far as their presidential election is concerned.
David, I'll have you hold the line, and let me just come back to the studios and bring in Kwabena Boateng Chanchan, and he's been following this beat. A couple of moments ago, we spoke to Kojo Usefriye, also known as John, former secretary, general secretary for the New Patriotic Party. What has he been telling us?
Well, what he's been saying essentially is that he thinks the move by Alan, and in fact the message to the media today, was his farewell message to Ghanaians as a politician. Or he thinks this is the end.
Okay.
This is the end for Alan.
Let me put that question to David Agbe. David, do you see it as such that Alan Chemantin's press conference, according to Sir John, it's more like a farewell message, is it?
Really, it is not a farewell message. If you read the statement very well, Alan Chemantin is trying to tell the delegates that he has a certain level of an appealing characteristics more than Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And that has been his message. He is telling the party, delegates that I have a certain appealing, personality than Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
So what was it? Was it a campaign?
The youth, yes, he was campaigning.
He was campaigning.
The youth and the women in our society would like to, vote for Alan Chemantin rather than Nana Akufo-Addo. So he is actually doing a campaigning, in their party structure, or if you look at the party constitution, it does not state clearly that you cannot organize a press conference or you cannot talk to any media household at any point in time or the closing date before the final election. So it makes it quite ambiguous. So everybody is just trying to take an advantage of the situation of the loopholes within their party constitution. So he's saying that he's engaging the media. He's not talking to the party delegates, but he's rather engaging the media, trying to send his message across. All the radio stations and TV stations.
So what difference, David, what difference does it make? Has he violated the party's guidelines?
I do not think so, that he has violated the party guidelines, unless somebody comes to point out clearly to me that this is what has been stated within the party constitution, and so he has actually reached the party code of ethics or the standardized practices as far as their party the rules and regulations are concerned. So I think that he wanted to send a message out there that he has a certain appealing, characteristics more than another, and that is the message he has used across the country, that if they should dare to vote for more like an aged person, and they are going to face a certain, consequences. And so that has been his message, that he is quite exuberant, he is quite, hopeful that when the party delegates vote for him, he will be able to match us with John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, than another Danko Akufo-Addo. So for me, that is what, as political water, that is the message that has been sent out there, which is winning and hoping that people will buy into his message.
Very well, David. Thank you very much. David Agbe, he is the Executive Director for the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. Kwabena Boateng Chenchen is here with a few seconds to go. Sure. What else have we been picking up? But I'm told that Kojo Ozuefrie, former General Secretary of the MPP, is on the phone line. And clearly, he supports Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. So, Sir John, we have a few seconds to go. What do you make of the press conference? Was it indeed a thank you press conference, or you see it differently?
Well, there are various views out there, but several of the persons I've spoken to clearly believe that this flouted the rules and regulations of our party, and therefore they ought to be sanctioned. But I've heard our General Secretary who sees nothing wrong with that. He is the man to interpret the rules and regulations, and if he finds nothing wrong with it, so be it. But for me, the general thrust of it was to say a goodbye to the press and to thank you, for the show that had clearly not been bought by the rank and file members of our party. It is to bow out, gracefully, and that is why I believe that he spoke as it is. It is clearly, to thank you and to bow out.
Are you in any way hurt? This will be my final question to you. Are you in any way hurt by this particular move by Alan Kojo Chirmateng?
Can you come again, please?
I'm asking if you are in any way hurt, by this particular move by Alan Chirmateng.
You're asking whether I'm hurt?
Yes, exactly my question.
No, I'm not. I'm not, because clearly Nana Akufo-Addo would win the day, with over 80% of the vote. And everybody in this country, including all delegates, are determined to give Nana Akufo-Addo an emphatic victory. I think that Alan's camp and Alan himself is aware of the fact that having gone around the country, he realizes that the message had not been bought, and that everywhere that he has gone to, people have told him he wants Akufo-Addo and nobody else.
Thank you very much.
And he has no doubt at all in his mind that Akufo-Addo would win hands down.
Thanks a lot, Kojo Ozuefrie, also known as Sir John, former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Before we go, Kwabena Boateng, what are we picking quickly?
Well, basically that's, interesting views there anyway, but I wouldn't know how you'd call this a thank you press conference.
But there are new developments.
Indeed, there are new developments. We can only wait and see what happens after tomorrow. Tomorrow we are all voting. They are voting, I mean.
That's the new development.
So we'll be on the grounds anyway to just get to know what is happening.
Okay, Kwabena Boateng Chenchen, obviously will be on the grounds. And of course, you can trust Joy News, our extensive coverage of the MPP's Congress aimed at electing a new flag bearer for the party. That's it for Big Story. Today's Big Story coming up shortly. It's an interactive segment. Stay with us.